everybody. Welcome to Amazing You podcast and YouTube channels, the channels where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And in each episode, we dive into the inspiring journey of individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads-on and emerge victorious. Our aim is to be a beacon of inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. And whether you are dealing with health challenges, professional setbacks, or personal struggles, this channel is dedicated to uplifting your spirit and showing you that even in the darkest moments, there is a path to hope and triumph. So join us as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity, reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. So be prepared, everyone, to be inspired and to find the strength to navigate life's challenges. And big thank you to the audience for watching, sharing, and subscribing. I really appreciate you and you watching for all these years, the past 3 years. I am your host. My name is DrRaniThanacoody. I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I am a Mars, Venus, life and relationship coach, tarot reader, astrologer, life force compassion practitioner, star magic facilitator, and past life regression practitioner. And today, I am very excited to have with me a very special lady all the way from Australia. Her name is Vida Hill. Vida is an international psychic medium and energy activator for over 20 years. Her passion is working predominantly with women to step into a powerful space of personal empowerment for themselves. Her vision is to support other women to come back to living the truth of being who they are and following their own unique path. So, welcome to Amazing You, Vida.
Thank you, Rani. Thank you for having me.
I'm really looking forward to that conversation with you because it is the first time on the podcast that we are having a psychic medium and an energy activator. So I am really curious to ask you some questions to help the audience because I know the kind of work you do, but for the audience, I'm sure it's something new. So they are going to learn something from you today, which is wonderful. So can you share with us, Vidya, about your journey in that space? How did it begin? And what inspired you to pursue this path as a psychic medium, energy activator for over 20 years?
Well, I wanted to be a psychic since the age of 4. And at the time, I remember thinking very clearly, I want to be a psychic. And then thinking, no, that's only for special people. So I decided to be a vet. And I was going to be a vet until I was 19. And then I realized when I got to university that I really wasn't any good at chemistry, physics, calculus, anything that I needed to get myself through veterinary sciences. And I ended up studying psychology and computer science. And through that process, that has all actually helped me with understanding people. I ended up with basically a degree in counseling. But there was this really pivotal point in all of that where I had a really interesting, I'm going to call it an interesting experience where I did a clearing ritual at home. And I was very specific how I wanted this clearing to proceed. It was a feng shui clearing ritual, and I wrote out exactly how I wanted the clearing to happen. It was clearing the house out, starting from my bedroom. I was living with my mum at the time in a unit and working my way up through the house, clearing out clutter. And my mum still had clothes from my grandma who passed away many years earlier. So there was just stuff, that needed to go. And part of my motivation, because I was also young at the time, was I was hoping that it would transform my relationship with my boyfriend doing the clearing ritual, So I did the ritual and I canceled my plans for that night. But then halfway through the ritual, my friend ran and she begged me to come over to her house. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll come. And I walked to my car and I looked back at my house and I thought, if something happens to my house, my cat can't get out. And I walked back into the house. I went upstairs. I opened the ranch-slide door for him upstairs. And I looked back at the house and went, okay, something feels off, but I'll deal with it when I come home. A couple of hours later, my mum called me. The first question is, what did you do? And I'm like, apparently nothing good. So I got home and the house had burned down. And it started in my bedroom.
Right.
Underneath my dresser. I had a dressing cabinet. It started on a corner underneath my dresser. And it worked its way right through the house, exactly as I described it, to clear things out.
Mm.
And my cats got out upstairs, right? Where I left the door open for them.
Right.
And I was sitting there talking to the fireman, and it was actually a really nice exchange with him because we're talking about aromatherapy oils, because he found aromatherapy oils in my room and he wanted to know what it was. So,
Okay.
we had those conversations with the fireman. And then the next day, my boyfriend, who lived 2 hours away from me, drove over and broke up with me.
Mm.
So I rang my friend, one of our friends, and she said, she gave me a place to stay because I had my 2 cats, and she's like, you come and stay with us, bring your cats.
So your house was completely burned down?
House was gone.
Oh.
Upstairs was still okay, but anything that wasn't burned was water damaged and smoke damaged. Like everything really had to go. Very, very few things survived. There was a few items that in that space I kind of prayed for to have, and they manifested themselves back. Like I found them in really obscure places in the house and they were fine. But because I ended up staying with these friends and they had a lot of spirit activity in the house, we decided we came across a psychic development workshop. So me, my mum and my friend decided to go do this workshop together. And it wasn't until the very last session of this workshop, it was a 6-week course, that the lady said that she'd invited one of her friends to do the last session with us. Now, I knew her friend because I'd seen her at the psychic fairs where she used to work. But as she walked into the room that night, she came in with a big dog in spirit, like a massive dog. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. She's got a dog with her. I didn't think anything of it. And at the end of the session, she turned around and said, who saw what came in with me? And I was like, me. And I said, do you have a big dog with you? She's like, yes, that's my St. Bernard. He died last week. And I called him in to see who would pick up on him. And I remember that very clear moment of going, oh, this is not my imagination. I'm not making this up. I can actually do this. And it wasn't much longer after that I did another workshop, an angel workshop. And the lady running the workshop turned around to me and she said, I'm running a psychic fair next weekend and you will be there. And I was at 23, I was 3 years old, and I instantly went from just pulling cards for fun at home, doing angel workshops, to stepping into a public space and doing readings. And that set my heart on a whole different trajectory, because that fair I then met a lady who I called her my spirit mum. She was a great mentor to me while she was alive. And she taught me a very different way of working in spiritual healing, to essentially develop my own modality, to work more intuitively rather than doing just Reiki training or the spiritual healing training that I'd done. She taught me how to really discern energies and work in a very different space and to stay out of the fear around it. And we did many psychic feeds together actually after that too. So that's how I got into it. But I also realized that when I try and step away from it, I become really unwell because my heart just calls me back. I can never, like the times I've kind of stepped away and gone, this is actually not for me. I don't think I can do this. I've always been pulled back. So I've also had the experience that when I step back from it, my body shuts down. My body physically starts shutting down. So it's almost like I can't step away from it. I don't want to because it's so much part of who I am. And I recognize now that that 4-year-old girl knew that. She knew that's who she was. And it was only being able to give myself the permission to be able to do it because I was also raised in the church and I could never share that side of myself in the church, not in the church we were part of anyway. It was all very, devil's work. So I was working through a process of being able to give myself permission to be who I am and to start finding that voice to really step into the work and work with spirit. So it wasn't until I started having children, when I was having recurrent miscarriages, and I started talking to my son, my oldest son now, and he was coming in and going out, coming in and going out. And at some point, I sat down with him in spirit. I said, okay, what do you need to come in? Because I was lying on the couch and I was so unwell. And I was like, my body's dying. Something needs to shift. And I started talking to him, going, okay, what's going on here? Something's not working. And the answer was, you need to get back into doing the readings. You need to get back into your spiritual healing work. And just like that, I flicked the switch back on, going, I cannot not do this because it's just who I am. And I think the whole process to get to where I am now, to do the work the way I'm working now, which is the energy activations, I still bring the mediumship in, but I work with it in a different aspect to really help other people uncover that part for themselves and activating that energy as well, where they start coming back to life again, because that whole journey was coming back to life and being able to be myself. So it's not a straightforward just become a medium. It's a journey of actually becoming you and trusting yourself, really trusting yourself.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Thank you so much for sharing, Vida. I'm really enjoying that conversation with you because I have always been fascinated in that area, in that realm of spirituality. And I used to go to a lot of spiritualist church. Long time ago, my one friend brought me there, and that's how I was always interested in that, in astrology, in those kind of things. And I enjoyed it when we were going. It's like I love being in that church with the psychic, and they give the readings. It was one of my best time of going there. And very often I had the psychics telling me, because they would give reading, they would choose people at random, and some told me one day you would be there, you would be able to do it. But I think as I develop myself more, like you said, it's a journey of growing yourself and trusting yourself. And I found that I'm becoming more intuitive in doing the inner work, that I can sense and feel things more. So I am keeping on working on that. But can you share with us, because the audience would like to know more, what is a psychic medium about? Can you tell us, what do you feel? Do you have spirit guides that guides you during those sessions? How it works? Please tell us more.
Okay. So I always make the distinction between a psychic and a medium to start off with, okay?
Yeah.
So for me, and this is my definition, and it may or may not be correct, but for me, a psychic is someone who can read your energy. They can tell you what's going on in your life right now. The medium is someone who connects with spirit. They connect with your spirit guides, or they connect to someone who's passed over, a loved one who's passed over, and they bring direct guidance through, like a channel. So that's a distinction I made. So I call myself a psychic medium because I do both. I can go into energy, I can see what's going on in energy, and I talk to spirit. And I actually class the readings I do into categories. So when I do readings where I talk to people who have crossed over, but loved ones who's passed over, and they bring through messages of guidance. And those sessions are usually quite healing for both parties. So it's a different kind of healing energy there. And then there's the readings I do, and they largely seem to edge back into activations. I find that you're never just a straight reading, right? Although becoming harder and harder to keep as a straight reading because there's forever more that push to also then elevate the energy. But that's where I bring through either the person's spirit guides or my own spirit guides, or I work with higher level guides and councils. I work with interdimensional beings as well. And that's where I have landed at the moment. So I actually, it started working for angels and archangels and ascended masters and spirit guides. And then it's moved into who I'm currently working with, especially when I'm doing the activations. I work with a collective called themselves a Council of Goddesses. And I also have a Council of Witches. And you really have to look past the names there. And also I also have my intergalactic guides who I bring through. So for me, there's the two sides of doing the readings and who I work. And I find when I work with the energies who are not past loved ones, who can be sort of lowered, I'm going to say lower density in energy, because that's just where they are in their journey. It doesn't mean they lower vibration, just lower in density. It brings a very different quality. Whereas you start working with your spirit guides, you get, or even the person's higher self as a guide, you start getting a very different quality to the messages you get through and you receive. So it's very much depending on the journey the person is on and what they are seeking to heal for themselves. And whether it's by looking to make peace with their past, whether they're looking to move forward and push themselves into a very new and different direction in life. And sometimes it's a combination of both. And I find that the way it works, it's, if you can imagine being a telephone, when you're calling your friend on the phone, you don't necessarily physically see them, but you've got them on the other side. And then there's that transmission that happens between the phones. And basically, I am the transmission part. So you've got your spirit guides on the side of a phone, and then you've got the person receiving a message on the other side on their phone, and I am the conduit in between to basically translate what is being said from spirit into a language that you can understand, into words for people who don't necessarily have the direct connection for themselves, or at least not yet, because I believe everyone's got it.
Yes, that's true.
Everyone's got it.
Yes. We all have our spirit guides watching over us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I'm a firm believer that we all have someone watching over us.
Yeah.
We do. There's always someone there. You're never quite alone. And I've seen that demonstrated time and time again.
Yeah.
And they do speak to you. It's just learning or finding a way that they speak to you that you can recognize it.
And can you share with us, how can people start to become a bit more aware, to know and sense that their spirit guides are around them? What can they start to pay more attention back when they are present? You have to be really present to be able to see, to notice what signs the angel, the guides, the spirit guides are giving you. What can you share with us?
For me, I find having moments of quiet, and I want to say meditation, but not necessarily meditation, because I think even meditation, there's a lot of misconception around what meditation is and what it's supposed to do for you. It is actually having moments of just being able to sit and be still. And if you're new to this and only just learning, then having a dedicated time of day to be quiet and still. So every morning at the same time, you have a 10 or 15 minutes where you sit still. And it's like setting an appointment with you guys saying, this is the time I am actually meeting you. Much like meeting a friend for coffee. You set a time and you show up. Otherwise, you're not seeing your friend. So it's getting into the habit. And the next part of it is really trusting. And I think what people do a lot of the times when they start learning or they start looking for signs. I was scared that they're going to see a spirit. And they want to see a spirit, but they're also scared they're going to see a spirit. And they miss subtle signs, because often spirit doesn't just show up and go, here we are. It's not like a person that, like, I see them as people in front of me, but a lot of people don't. I'm going to say probably most people don't.
Yeah.
Often it's when you're sitting quietly, you might see a flash of light, or you have just, that thought that comes in and is really quiet and still, and you're not negotiating with it, you're not interacting with it. It's just that peaceful, calm, this is it. It might be one word, but there's a stillness to it. And that's why I always recommend finding a place where you can be still, so you can hear the stillness above your thoughts. But you really have to get out of your thought space and let go of the control and the attachment of wanting to see instant results. Because it may be as subtle as just feeling like a tingle on your arm. Because it's the other thing that spirit won't do. They're not necessarily going to come in and give you a fright, because it won't serve you. Because then you'll reject your intuition. And that's when you notice something, that's becoming really observant about what you hear around you, what you feel. Do you sense a change in temperature? Is there a flash of light? When you close your eyes in that stillness, do you see different colored orbs? Do you smell something? And so it's really coming into all your senses, and then not filing it away as your imagination, because it's actually that imagination that you use to get your visions with. But recognizing that you're going to have a sense that is stronger than other people, like the other senses. Some people smell and some people hear, and most people have a sense that they're dominant in. And with time, you develop them all if you choose to, or you can develop them all. So for me, the key is find that place of stillness. And when you do notice something in your life where you've gone, hey, I knew that, it's acknowledging it and go, oh, I knew that. I got that message. Thank you. I acknowledge it. I recognize it. I accept it. Because we're very quick to dismiss it as coincidence, instead of in that moment realizing that's actually where you were connected.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much, Vida. Vida, you were talking about all these beings in all these different dimensions, and there are so many, Can you tell us a bit more about those beings that you are in contact with? What do they look like? And tell us a bit about what dimensions are they, because there are so many dimensions, and what is their purpose, these beings, for the audience to understand.
Okay, so the past couple of years have taken me very much in a deep dive of really stepping into myself and my power. And that has been involved with really looking at cycles of abuse, manipulation, control, coercion. And it's built up over time, right? And really reconnecting in with, I guess, sort of the ancient lineage of connecting with priestess type energy and the energy of creation, the goddess energy of creation, not necessarily the god of creation, but the goddess energy of creation, and that reclamation of who you are as a creator. Now, I mentioned the Council of Goddesses that I work with. They come in because I work predominantly with women, sometimes with men as well,
And how many are there in
with
that council of goddesses?
my council of goddesses has got 11.
Okay.
I haven't met them all yet. They are slowly introducing themselves.
And where do they come from?
They range. So, just to name a few, I work with Isis as one of my main ones who's been with me for a very, very long time. Isis doesn't have for.
Yeah.
Carly is stepping in more and more. I had another one step in the other day who was, I can't remember her name. She was quite very, very new to me.
Okay.
Never ever heard of her before. I had to go Google her. I was like, who are you?
Right.
Diana, the huntress, the one who has very clearly stepped in for me the last little while is Hecate and Lilith. And I know that some of them are considered dark goddesses and people are scared of a dark goddesses because of what they're associated with. But what they actually come to teach is how you create from what you perceive your darkness to be, and that there is no real darkness in you.
Absolutely.
It is actually your power, but it's actually your creative power that's laying dormant. And how can you channel what you fear within yourself or judge within yourself or feel is not good enough or even scared of in yourself, whether it's your anger or your fear? How can you transmute that to actually bring that into, I guess, into the light to create your purpose and your life for yourself? That is what they are here to teach. So they teach boundaries. They teach how to honor and value and respect yourself. And they teach you how not to be afraid of yourself, because ultimately we are more scared of what we know we are capable of, and we don't want other people to know what we're capable of.
Yes.
But that power can be transmuted.
Yeah.
And that's what they teach, and how to transcend your fears to really, really show up in the world for yourself, for yours and your kids and your family as well, but mostly for yourself first. Now we've got the Council of Witches. I haven't connected into them that strongly. There's 5 or 6 of them, 5 of them are showing me. And they are not witches like you read in the fairy tales.
Okay, so tell us more, because the audience might not understand and want to know. Yes, please.
So your witches are they're your traditional healers.
Okay.
Okay, they're your traditional healers. They're your wisdom seekers, the oracles, your shamans, basically.
Right.
They're your traditional shamans. They're all, and again, they work with the energy of creation. So when you look at the context of spell work, people have negative connotations to spell work because there's a lot, and you'll see that on the internet, love spells and whatever, where in this context, again, it comes back to how are you creating and moving forward in your life with intention? Again, it's breaking free of all the stigma and dogmas that you have attached to yourself and the names. And this is one thing I learned very, very early on when I mentioned my mentor, who taught me to be very discerning, to move past the space of judgment of what we place on the energies coming in and going, hang on, what's the energy they bring and why are they bringing that? So what they bring is actually how you use your intention to create. So the goddesses are coming in for that self-empowerment energy, the witches are coming you to teach you how you weave magic in your life. The interdimensional beings that I work with, the Intergalactic Council.
How many are there and who are they? Where they come from, Vida? Because I am a bit familiar. I am learning about that on different courses and we meet them. So, but the audience does not know. So for the audience, please. Yeah.
So they are more interdimensional from different galaxies. So the name now escapes me. But I work with the Lyrans, which is the lion race.
Yes.
I'm heavily connected to Palladians and also the Syrians.
Okay.
So one of my main guides at the moment, her name is Soraya, and she's Syrian, and she leads this as a collective, and then she brings the other ones in to be channeled through. So there is 11 of them on the council. Again, I'm still meeting some of them, and they may chop and change over time as well. So I'm very heavily, for me, I've got Mary Magdalene and Yesaya, or Jesus is commonly known, he's commonly known as part of that council. They come in to work, they actually work with the divine masculine, feminine energies and the Christ energy that they bring, they anchor that in, that's their role for coming in. A part of it, I have Anubis, who's my gatekeeper, he's my guardian. When I work, he steps in when I do work with goddesses, and that's quite interesting because quite often we'll go into a temple and he will guard the doorway while I take ladies into the temple and work with the goddesses. So he's the protector that comes in as part of the council there. And he's been with me for a very, very long time as well. He introduced himself to me in Egypt. He stood by my bedside one night, and I was just like, oh, wow, look at that. So, and being, like I mentioned, the Lyrans, the Syrians, Palladians very heavily. And then there's the International Galactic Council of Light or Federation of Light. There's a couple of representatives from there as well.
Yeah.
Who comes through. So, and they come through as they need it at different times. So, but predominantly at the moment, I'm seeing my interdimensional beings coming through when I'm doing the healing work. And the reason they're coming in is, I know there's a lot of talk at the moment about raising the vibration of the planet.
Yeah.
But the way they've explained it to me is it's got nothing to do with the planet. And this is probably going to go upstream from what many say.
Okay.
But it's actually, you are basically the planet.
Yeah.
So you're actually only you're not even raising your own vibration, because it's not like you have lower or high vibrations. You're just coming more into yourself. And what they're doing is bringing in that opportunity for soul recognition to recognize more of yourself. And the way they show it to me is like and this is where the activations come in, is you recoding and you switch, but it's like they're flicking on codes in your memory, so you start remembering more of who you are. And we see it as a spiral up or a raise in vibration or the earth changing, but it's actually you changing internally and creating an outer environment that reflects that inner awareness of who you have always been, and you're remembering that. And that's why they come in to bring that balance in.
Wow, that's really, I would say, that's really, really powerful. The help that they are giving humanity at this time, they are really helping humans to ascend, to really rediscover and remember who they are. And can you tell us a bit more, Vida, about the activations, the energy activations that are a key part of your work? Can you explain what energy activations are and how they can help people access to their highest potential?
So the easiest way I find to explain it is that, like I said, I've sort of developed my own energy healing modality over time. It doesn't have a name. I just do what I do because it changes from person to person, and I adapt it for whatever the person needs. And I will work with everybody and in the way they need to be worked in or worked with at the time. But I've also recently added a technique that's called magnetic mind or magnetic mind recoding, and I've drawn that in and added it into what I do and sort of combined it in. And the best way I can describe that is that you're then working on a multiple levels with a person. You're going energetically to find the core, but you're also working with subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind will throw up resistance, right? It actually wants to protect you. And you might have some really unhelpful behaviors or protection mechanisms, but your subconscious mind has put that in place because at some point in your life, that protected you and that kept you safe. So now you're repeating cycles. And the reason you're repeating my cycles is because your subconscious mind goes, I know I can survive that cycle. It may not be a very good cycle, it might be an incredibly painful cycle, but I know I can survive it. What your subconscious mind doesn't know it can survive is something better or healthier or happier because it's never experienced it. So it keeps throwing you back in that loop. So you might go, and that's why you get that bump where you go, oh, I'm moving forward, and then you fall back because it actually feels so unsafe for your subconscious mind. Even logically, you might go, oh, no, this is really good. But your subconscious mind go, hang on, that's the unknown. I feel unsafe there. I don't know how to survive it. I've never had to do that. So the recoding part actually works directly with your subconscious mind to help it feel safe and go, you can have a different experience. So you step into a different experience and you recode it right at that subconscious level to give it a familiarity so that you can, in your body, physically, because you also have a chemical response to all these experiences, right? With your nervous system, go, this is how that feels in your body to have this experience. This is how those hormones and those chemicals feel. And then it shows your subconscious mind this is okay, and it can start accepting it. And with the recoding, it just does it a little bit faster than some other methods like NLP or hypnotherapy. All works really great, but it's almost like it just takes it slightly next level up. And then with the energetic work, it goes, it's like it bypass. I find it bypasses just to another level again to get in behind that to make that stick. Because you're then also shifting the energy pattern in the person that created it in the first place. So it's almost like you're coming in it from 2 or 3 angles. And that's where you sort of, that's where people get to often see sort of what we call quantum jumps. They make a quantum leap. So you walk out of a session and go, wow, my life has suddenly changed in the space of a week or two.
Yeah.
And that's what the activations are about. It's actually making those, they're not really jumps. It's actually lots of small changes made really, really quickly, almost instantaneously. But that's what the activations are about, because it actually reminds you, hang on, I'm actually more than my limitations. But it also gives you that opportunity to work through it without having to. And I think this is what you often see in the healing spaces. You have to go and dig in your past and bring up all your trauma. This helps you just bypass that trauma somewhat, clear it out without having to go relive it or dig it up and sit in it. You can actually go, I don't actually need it. You're recreating yourself and creating a new version of yourself, and you're letting that old version of yourself, I guess, in a sense, die. You're parking it in the past and leaving it in the past and go, I don't need to focus on my past story. I'm just creating a new story. And the activations just help support that so you don't have to fall back in those old patterns again. That recreates your old story just that little bit faster.
Yeah, that's so true. Thank you so much for explaining that. Because I have experienced this activation this past year. I have a teacher, and every week we do 2 activations, and they are extremely powerful. I can tell the audience. Sometimes it knocked me off for the day or 2, and then it's like resting and I build my energy back. But it's been so powerful and transformative in my life. And that's how I got connected to you, Vida. It's like as we heal, we find who we are. We meet different people, more like-minded people. We see so many shifts in our life, in ourselves, in our behaviors. We adopt new patterns, new habits, new ways of thinking. It's life-changing, those activations. And you will give us that experience in a few weeks. So I am really looking forward, and I invite the audience to join us in a few weeks with Vida. It's a really life-changing experience for you to shift things more quickly, and it's worth experiencing. Yeah. Thank you, Vida. And I love talking to you. I could talk the whole day because these are topics that I'm very interested. This past year, I've really liked to know more about all the different beings in the dimensions. These are fascinating areas for me. And I would like to ask you, would it be possible to give the audience a message from your guides today? Even if it's a 2 sentence, would that be possible?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Greetings, dear ones. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. My name is Andras, and I am one of the representatives of the International Galactic Federation that our host works with. And we have kindly been asked to convey a message to you tonight. And if there's one thing that we can impress on you, it is that we would like to remind you to remember how powerful you are. We see the doubts you have about yourself, the worries and concerns about not feeling good enough or worthy enough, the times you question yourself. And we want you to take this message to heart tonight, to know that you are loved, and we want you to see the love that you are in your heart for yourself, and to see yourself through the eyes of others and how we see you through the eyes of love and compassion and understanding. Knowing that you are love, you are power, and you are the creator of your own identity and reality. You are not set in stone. You can create and change your life in an instant if you should choose to do so. And while we're going to keep this brief tonight, we want you to remember, the key here is to remember all of who you are, and to remember that you are life, the creator of life, and the creation of life itself. So this will bid you for farewell tonight, but remember all of who you are. Good night.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you to your guide and thank you to you.
You're very welcome.
It's been a fantastic conversation, Vida. I didn't even have time to ask you the other questions, but that's okay. But I'll have one last question for you.
Of course.
If you can share with us any upcoming work or events that are in the pipeline, and how can the audience get in touch with you?
Okay, so one of the first things that come to mind is that you and I have spoken about doing a group activation together that you'll be sharing with your audience. So that will be coming up at the end of November.
Yes.
And for myself, I'm actually working at the moment of putting together a group program, which will run approximately over 8 to 10 weeks, probably 10 weeks, to guide you through a process of really anchoring this energy in for yourself and really getting to know yourself from the inside out. And I'm expecting that to come out in the next 2 to 3 months. I've set a start date for January, just to keep it very realistic in life commitments. Other than that, I am available for one-on-one sessions. I also do sort of extended sessions where I do package sessions. So if you want to have like the experience with sort of ongoing mentoring, coaching, where I see a lot of benefit for people who commit to 3 or 4 or 5 sessions, because it builds that momentum. So that's a possibility to work with me one-on-one at the moment. And the best way to get in touch with me is either through my Facebook page, if you look me up, Vida W Hill, or my business page on Facebook, which is also Vida W Hill, or the point of conception, and it will show up as Vida W Hill, or my website, which is www.vidawhill.com. And like I mentioned, I work internationally, so I'm available for video calls or over the phone, or if you're in Australia and Mahunter Valley, I'm available in person.
Vida, I would like to say huge thank you to you for sharing your time today. I know you are super busy. Very, very grateful for you, for your guides today, for giving us this beautiful message that I will re-listen again, because I know it speaks to me, but it speaks to everybody who will be listening to this. And we will see you very soon for that workshop, which will be around to end of November. So everybody, if you are interested, send me an email, or which is Thanacoody THANACOODYR98@gmail.com, and I will sign you up because it's worth coming to that session. It's Sunday, 27th, I think, of November, and we look forward to having your beautiful presence, Vida, to guiding all of us, to helping all of us on that journey of remembering. And I wish you a lot of success, Vida, in the courses that you are putting up and everything that is waiting for you on this journey. Very excited for you, and thank you to the audience for watching, for sharing, and for subscribing. And remember that you are amazing. You have always been, and you always will be amazing. Take care, everyone, and lots of love. Bye-bye.